I'm Jennifer, and I'm with Rico, and I am going to be covering your new copier printer today with you. Okay, first of all, as you walk up to the machine and you look, you're going to see this nice app screen, and you can choose the function that you want by touching it on the touch screen, or you can use the hard buttons down the side to select the function you want. But this, initially, as you walk up, is your home screen. And first, I'm going to go through the copier function. So we press copier, and it's asking for a user code. You have to use your user code to access the copier on all the devices. So you'll enter in your user code and then press OK. And I put in something wrong. No, there it goes. Okay, and now I can access the copy screen. On this copier printer, you can put up to 100 sheets in the feeder at one time, and they go print side up. So you place your originals in the feeder.
Is there a way to extend that? It's only a 10-second window before it defaults back to the login. Is there a way to extend when you're back in the menu?
You can request the timer be extended if you need it to be. Yes.
Okay. But you can't default it to be longer?
Yes. They have defaulted it at this time, but if you need to request it to be longer, you can ask for it to be set at a longer time.
So someone else has to do that?
Yes.
We can't, okay. You okay?
Okay.
Come by the office and need ours longer. I can't read that fast.
Okay, so as we look at our copier screen and we start to make copies, we'll place our originals in the feeder print side up. It has auto paper select, so that means that it's automatically going to copy on the matching paper size. You can also manually select your paper tray by choosing the tray you want. You can see what paper size is in each of the trays, and you can view the paper levels and the orientation of the paper. There's also a bypass tray. It's another paper source for you on the right side of the machine. And to use the bypass tray, it shows a picture on the side for the direction of the paper. In this case, it goes print side down. You'll just place the paper in the bypass tray, and the bypass light will come on and will know to copy onto the paper in the bypass tray. Okay. When you are copying from the glass, if you have a regular 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, it's automatically going to copy on 8.5 by 11 paper. If you put down a small item or an odd size, if you just select the paper size you want and press start, it will make the copy. If you leave it on auto and you press start, it's going to beep and display a message that it can't detect the size of your original. At that point, you can just press start again and it will copy on letter. But if you're making several copies from the glass, by selecting your paper tray first, you won't keep getting that error message. I'm pressing the yellow reset button that clears everything back to the defaults. So I'll be pressing that and touching buttons often to try to keep it from going back to the screen that it asks for the code. So if I'm hitting random buttons, that would be why. Okay, so we have the paper trays across the top, and this next line below are just some presets for reduction and enlargement. It's not maybe something that you would use, but auto reduce enlarge is often used if you have an 11 by 17 or legal sheet of paper and you just want to shrink it down to letter. If you just place your original in the feeder, choose auto reduce enlarge and select letter paper, when you press start, it will automatically reduce it to fit onto letter paper. In the middle of your touch screen, you have the shortcuts for two-sided copying. There's one-sided to two-sided and two-sided to two-sided. There's also a reduce 2 sheets to fit on one or 4 on one. That's all going to be on one side of a sheet of paper. And then create margin button, you would use that if you have an original with text really close to the edges. It will shrink it just slightly so that nothing gets cut off on the edges.
Is there a way to do the one-sided that puts it side to side, but then duplexes it on the back? So if you have 2 sheets that you stick in there that are front and back, that it'll print it, for example, side by side, then on the back, side by side?
Yes, that would be under duplex combined series. And it would be a combined function. And you would say my originals are two-sided, and I want them to come out on the copy side by side, two-sided. So say you have 2 sheets double-sided, so there's going to be 4 images on your originals. You'll have 2 on the front and 2 on the back of the copy.
Is there a way to make a shortcut key for that?
Yes, what you can do, once we have it set, once you have whatever settings that you would use, and since that's something that might be difficult to remember, you set it up, and then there's a button up here that says Program, right here. And you'll touch Program, and you'll choose one of the 14 locations that says Not Programmed. You just touch it. And then it says Login, so you might have to have an administrator set that up for you.
We blocked access to the address book because people can do bad things.
A shortcut can be set up. It can be set to the home screen, but you would need to have someone that has administrative rights to set that up for you. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, so we have our two-sided shortcuts, and also under duplex combined series and pressing series, you can get to two-sided to one-sided. Usually when I set up the devices and customize, and this one, I'm not sure if they're going to do this, but I usually put 2 to one-sided on the main screen as well. So you have each of your basic two-sided functions on the main screen. But you'll find them all under duplex combined series. Okay, then if you want your copies to come out collated, you'll need to make sure to press the sort button. So your pages will come out in order and it'll offset every other set. Stacking is uncollated, but if you have several different originals, it will offset your copies by each different original. So it'll be like maybe you have 4 originals and you want 10 copies of each. It will do 10 of the first page and then offset 10 of the second page and then offset and so on. Okay. So we have sort, stack, and staple. And the device will staple through 50 sheets thick, and you'll just touch the staple position on the screen that you want before you press start, and it'll come out stapled. So we were just talking about stapling, and it will staple through 50 sheets thick. Just make sure to touch the staple position before you press start, and your copies will come out stapled. Make sure that you wait until the copies are completely finished before you try to pull them out of the finisher, because it does just staple Right, as it's exiting the machine, and if you pull them out too soon, it can mess up the staple.
Is there a default for staples, or do we have an option of telling it where we want it stapled?
The options are right here. You have top left, lower left, or 2 on an 11-inch edge.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if you need to reduce or enlarge, all of those options are under reduce and enlarge, which is in the lower right-hand corner. When you press that, you can choose from your presets. You can use the plus minus keys to raise or lower in 1% increments, or you can touch the button that says number keys and enter the percentage in with the number keys on the panel. And then press OK and OK again, and that returns you back to the main screen, and you can see the percentage that I selected on the screen here. Down the left side of the screen, you can adjust the quality. You can lighten or darken, and also you can use the description of what your original is. So if you have like a photo, you can press the photo button and it will do a wider range of grayscales on the copy. It'll come out a lot clearer. Right, so I'm going to hit reset. If you need to cancel a copy job for some reason, you can press stop. On the panel here, it might go into energy saver sometimes. If somebody prints to it, it'll wake up automatically. If you put originals in the feeder or lift the feeder, it will automatically wake up, or you can press the button firmly for a second and it will come back on, and it only takes 5 seconds to warm up to make copies. You're not going to be using the log in, log out button on this panel to get out of your user codes. It's supposed to be press the reset and the clear button at the same time, and it will go back to the screen that asks for the user code. You'll also not be accessing user tools counter, but the simple screen button, most people don't utilize it. It allows you to lessen the features and it increases the size. So if maybe you have difficulty seeing the buttons, you can use the simple screen mode. It's just a toggle button, and like I said, when you press simple screen, it's going to give a lot less features, and you'll just press it again to return back to the regular copy screen. Do we have any questions on copying?
What's the pale under the text, and how is that different from lightning text when you press?
Pale is generally used when you're copying something with light marks on it. So it's a description of what you're copying. So pale would be like pencil that doesn't, it's light and it doesn't copy well.
Is that better than using the text and darkening the text? Is it better to use the text?
It varies. You can get different results, so it'll depend. Any other questions? Yes?
When you get out of the user code, you press the reset and clear?
Yes, the yellow reset button and the C at the same time, and it goes back to the, it does time out, which you've seen in like several seconds, so if you did happen to walk away, it should reset pretty quickly unless there's somebody right behind you that you don't want on your code. Yes?
Where do you refill the staples?
We'll go over that in a minute. Anybody else? Okay. So we're going to go back to the home screen here, and we're going to talk about scanning. You all will be scanning to a folder, network shared folder. And to scan, again, you can press the button on the touch screen or the scanner hard key on the panel. So we press scanner, and right away as we look at this screen, we see a box that says network scan. You need to touch that box before you can actually send the scan. But you'll place your originals in the feeder, make sure network scan is selected, And then you definitely want to name your document. Since Network Scan's a shared folder, you want to be able to find your document. If you don't name it, it's just going to give it a default name, which usually includes the date and a string of numbers. So to name your document, over here on the side of the screen it says Send File Type Name. You'll touch that and then go to File Name, and you'll type in a name for it. Okay. And above file name, it's showing you the file type. The default file type is already selected for you. It's set at a multi-page PDF. You can also change it to a single-page PDF or single-page TIFF JPEG. Single page means that each page is going to become a separate attachment. Okay, so we definitely want that set. That is the box that says Network Scan. At this point, we would name it and press Start, and it's going to send it to that folder as a black and white PDF, whatever name that you've named it at this point. But there's also some other settings that you can change. Down the left side of the screen, it is defaulted to a black and white text document, a 300 resolution. Under the scan settings, you can change it from black and white to full color. Even though some of the copiers are just black and white, they are all capable of scanning in color. However, color scans will result in a larger file size, so there are some restrictions on file size. So if you're doing color scanning, you probably don't want to do a huge document, and more just for a couple pages at a time. Okay, then below where you can select your scan settings, you can lighten or darken. And then there's also a button that says Original Feed Type here. And the original feed type is one-sided original. That means that you're scanning one-sided documents. If your original happens to be a two-sided document, instead of having to separate it out to single pages, you can select Original Feed Type and specify that the document is a two-sided original. Then it asks, does it open top to top like a book, like this, or is it top to bottom, which would be flip like a calendar? And then is the last page one or two-sided so you don't scan a blank at the end? And then just select OK, and you'll see under Original Feed Type now it's changed to a two-sided original. Okay. We're not scanning to emails, so you aren't going to be needing the text and subject lines. There is a preview. If you press the preview button before you press start to send the scan, it will allow you to view the document on the screen. And then if it looks okay, you can press send. And if it doesn't, then you can just cancel it out and start over. Now, the other option for scanning is scan to a thumb drive. Or there's also an SD slot on the side here. I think he's showing that, correct? So you will plug in your thumb drive, and to use that, you would go to Store File. But first you want to select everything first from this screen. So if you want to name it here, you want to select your file, send file type name, and tell it the document name. You want to tell it if it's two-sided and if it's color. Select all that first. And then go to Store File, and you're going to store it to the memory device, and then press OK. And right now at the top it's telling me that I don't have anything plugged in, but if I did, I could just hit start, and then it would store it to your thumb drive.
We had
virus protection for those type of things? If people come with some kind of virus, okay, will it?
I don't think these units are susceptible to viruses, but I don't believe they are.
Okay, no need to worry about that.
No.
Okay.
Does each office have their own folder, or when you're scanning something, does it go to something that everybody at the university has access to?
It's specific to your department, and in the case of your area, it's only three that should have.
If we want to set up a new folder, we have to put in a request to you.
Yes.
Create a new company, so I would send it to you.
Support center.
The folders are already established.
Should be. If you didn't have one before, as these units were set up, I should have already created one and set up. But if you find that you don't, let us know.
Any other questions on scanning? Okay. All right, the next thing that we'll cover, actually I'm going to go over clearing jams and adding toner and staples before I go through the printer button, because that's going to involve looking at the laptop as well. So if it does happen to get a paper jam, it's going to show you on the screen where the jams are. It will light up red, giving an error indication. So even if you open a door, you'll see the red light. And then if I touch the copier button, it shows a picture of the copier and what I need to do to resolve the problem. If it was actually jammed, I'd get another box here and it'll zoom in on where the jam is and show me step by step how to clear the paper jam. So the feeder does open, and just by opening it, that's going to loosen the paper path so that you don't tear your originals. And then inside, there's a knob that you can turn also to feed the paper off that roller. Okay. On this one, there is a door on the side. This opens up. And then anything blue you can use to clear the jams. There's an area right here that opens, one here. And then there's one inside here. So basically there's 3 areas, and you'll just open it up and look for the paper and pull it out. Here. And then this unit slides out here, and there's a blue area here and one here. So this lifts, and then this one is a knob you can turn to feed the paper out. Also, there's a green area inside, and that holds your staples. So it comes out really easily. You just kind of have to flip it, and it just pulls right out. The staples, the unit, this little holder needs to be empty before you can remove it to refill it. So when the clear plastic is empty, you can pinch the 2 arrows together on either side and then pull off the empty plastic. And the new one is preloaded, and you'll just snap it down and then reinsert it. There's 5,000 staples in one staple cube, and they're pre-cut to staple through 50 sheets. And it just goes back in there, and then you slide that closed. Next, the front panel, that is where the toner is. This is really easy. You just pop that open, grab the bottle, this pulls right out. The new one looks exactly like this. It'll come in a box usually, and you just take it out of the box. It has a cap at the top that you unscrew, and you just slide it back in with the arrow to the top. You want to shake it a couple times from side to side first. Okay. That one's really easy. Our paper trays each hold 1 ream of paper and are adjustable up to 11 by 17. Okay. Any questions on Tony? Yes.
Do we recycle those toners the same way we do our current ones?
I don't know what program you're going through, but it's possible that would be the case.
I
There's
believe
usually,
you're actually just sending these back to Rico now.
Okay.
Prepaid label.
Oh, okay.
and while we're on the subject of the toner also, your supplies are included in the contract, but they need to be ordered through the website. We have some handouts for myrico.com. You need to have a couple designated people in your department because you can register more than one person, but they want to go on that site and register the machine so that they can order supplies for it.
And currently, there is a problem with the website and putting a second line in the address. They are going to try to fix that today so that the website you can put in your department name and your name so that they're not all just sent to one university circle, which could be a problem.
Right. Now, as for printing, a lot of times there will be an error that shows up when somebody at their computer would select an option that isn't available at the copier printer. Like maybe you've chose to print on 8.5 by 14 paper and that's not loaded in either of the trays. You'll get an error light that turns red just like it showed up for the jams. But if you press the printer button, it will show you the error and it will tell you how to resolve it. So it'll say load 8.5 by 14 in drawer 2, and if you do that and just shut the paper drawer, it'll go ahead and print that job. Or you can hit job reset if you don't have any way of fixing it from here and then just resend it. The other thing that you can do from here is view a locked print job. And locked print jobs are secure print, and you would actually assign a separate PIN code at your computer that's different from your user code. And then when you send the job over to print, you come up and press print jobs. You'll see your name here, and you'll be able to touch that, and you'll select your job and hit print, and it asks you for the PIN code that you just assigned it at your computer, and that way nobody else can pick up your print jobs, and it's secure by your PIN that you created.
I have a question. How long will it hold that job? Say like if I send it to my printer and then go lunch and forget about it and come back later in the afternoon, will I still be able to?
3 days is the default.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay.
How do you delete some errors that is listed there? And you know, when we send it, it says network error or something. I tried to do reset, job reset, it didn't go away.
It didn't work?
And there is something at the bottom.
The error log?
Yeah, it didn't, yeah.
Well, that isn't.
You see a lot of this, if you have an error, it didn't erase it.
Yeah, that should resolve it by hitting job reset. Sometimes if it's not the current job, then it wouldn't reset it if it's something that's maybe lined up behind it. So you can look at the job list, but it should get rid of the current job depending on the settings. There's no option to delete it.
You can touch the error and you can see why it wasn't, what was the error was?
It should show up the error log, but you should probably access that from the job list. And then, let's see here, all jobs. And it would be individual jobs under all jobs. The current job would be the top job, and you would be able to, but just by hitting job reset, that should cancel that out. Okay. Yeah.
I think that error log will always have your previous errors in it.
Yeah, that's not going to clear out the errors, but she's talking about actually you're hitting job reset and it didn't cancel your job, it still kept printing.
No, the error job, how long will it keep? Will it go to 100, 1,000?
It just keeps, with the current at the top, it'll keep a running log. It depends on the memory of that. It's not going to get rid of the error, because that way if the machine goes down, then the technician can look at the problems. So it will keep that for a while. Okay. All right, can we look at your computer now? There's a couple things that you're going to have to do at your computer in order to print, and one of those is enter your user code. The same code that you're entering at the device to make copies, you also need to enter at your computer. Otherwise, if you just send the job, it won't tell you that it didn't print, but it won't without that user code. So we're going to look at our printing properties here. Okay. So in your printing properties, we're going to go here. We're in the printer and devices screen here. We're going to go into our preferences, and we want to go to detailed settings. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. The user code, yeah. Oh, job setup, okay. So it's under detailed settings, job setup, and you can put in your user code here. And if you add this from the start menu, then select your printer, right click on it, go to printing preferences, and you pull this up. If you enter it from the start menu, that creates the user code as a default. So you don't have to enter that user code every time you go to print. So you'll definitely want to enter that there. And if you want to use locked print is when you want to just lock it from the screen so that nobody else can print your job, or I'm sorry, pick up your job at the machine. You'll change the job type from, it'll say normal print as a default, and you'll change that to locked print, and then go into details here and type in your name or something to identify your job, and then create your own PIN code.
We've had some conflicting information about whether we need to continue to use each of our own individual IDs, or if we can make an organization, a department ID. Is there pros and cons for each? Is there a standard way that the university wants us to do it? Can we just put in a default ID for the entire department?
Yes,
The recommendation is each user should probably have their own user code. That way it's identifiable to them. So then there's some tracking if the department wants, and if you don't want to do that, you don't have to, but at least there's some accountability there. If you really want to do a departmental code, yes, you're more than welcome to do a departmental code. Some departments have done user codes for each person, that they have a specified account that they make copies for. They'll set up a user code for that organization or group or whatever. But the suggestion is each user has it. And some people have used less for their ID numbers, some have used their phone number. It's just sort of you guys. Also, the printing, we are defaulting to lock print. So each of these units, when you install them, it's defaulted to lock print already. So you will need to specify the password, which we recommend use the same user code. That way it's one number for the unit that the person needs to know. So use the same user code for your password as you do the user code itself. That way it's one number to remember. Also by default on Windows computers, we are defaulting to the Windows login name. So when they go to the unit, they will see their ecom ID. That way they know it's their job and they can go from there.
For people that need to set up or change user codes tomorrow afternoon at the 1:30, Kent? 1:30, we're going to be going over the web image monitor and how to change user codes, set that up. And also, I think we're going to talk a little bit more about the ordering supplies as well.
And you don't need to sign up for that, just feel free to come.
Yeah, that's fine.
Same room here.
Yeah.
There was a
Right.
question about day and time, so I don't know if you're going to send something out to people, but
Okay.
I looked on the NFB website, I didn't see it listed as a training session, so.
No, it's just something that we've kind of decided to set up. So for 1:30 tomorrow, you just want to be back here for those of you that want to have access to enter user codes for your department and order supplies.
1 or 1:30?
1:30.
And if we're not here to come, is there some way I can get that information?
Yeah, just send an email to me or to the nfd@wiu.edu and we can personally work with you.
Yes.
On your website, it says this printer has a folding option. Is that the extra units put on it?
That's extra for, they didn't opt to purchase that. So there's, the only equipment on here is a stapler finisher. It'll offset, collate, and staple.
Is it something that could be added?
I don't think that the university's going to add that, no. It could be on select models, but they're not opting for that.
But it is an option that could exist?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much.